Hey, what's up everybody? Nick here. Welcome back to Batman Arkham Asylum Remastered. And as you can tell by the name of this video, we are going to be tackling intensive treatment. So we are a little over halfway through with this game. What we're trying to do here is we have to go underground into Killer Croc's lair to find this plant that will help us on our journey. But we don't know where Croc's lair is on the island. So what we're doing is we're going back to the mansion, which we visited way earlier in the game. We're going back to the mansion to find Aaron Cash, who is kind of like Croc's handler. We're going to ask him where the lair is. He's going to tell us intensive treatment, and then yeah, so we'll go to intensive treatment. But the next video is actually going to be the Killer Croc battle, because in this video, the game kind of sends us on a couple errands before we can tackle Croc. So you can see on the island here, they're starting to do something a little different. They're throwing more things at us so that we're not just walking from place to place. So you can see that there are some of the maniacs running around, and there's also these new pods that you can destroy. And what'll happen is if you get too close to the pod without destroying it, it will send out these three right here. You see those three like spores, and what you got to do is you got to throw quick batterings at them, because those spores, if you don't destroy them fast enough, they'll shoot at you, and they actually do a lot of damage, especially since we're playing on hard difficulty. They can really knock your health down quite a bit. So just kind of crouch up to those like you see me doing here, and then right when the game prompts you to press X, press it as soon as you can, and you should be able to destroy the pod, no problem. And so I kind of want to just ask a quick question that you can think about while you watch this video, and then if you feel like discussing it in the comments below, definitely feel free to leave one. I'm kind of interested in, I do hardest difficulty playthroughs, and I kind of want to know what are some of the hardest games that you guys have ever beaten. I'm thinking about one day, in the future, after I've had a chance to play more games for my channel, I'm thinking about making a video with kind of like my top 5 hardest completed games or something like that. I haven't given it, I haven't actually ever sat down and thought about it, because I've played a lot of games in my time, so I'm not exactly sure, but I know if I had to right off the bat list my top 3, it would be my previous the game I previously did a walkthrough for, which was Gears of War 4. That one might even be the hardest one. So Gears of War 4, Uncharted Drake's Fortune on brutal difficulty, which was the new difficulty that they released under the remastered version of the game. And then probably Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare on Veteran. That was the first game. That was the first time with that game that I ever played a game on the hardest difficulty, and it was tough. After that game, the next couple of Call of Duty games on Veteran, they actually weren't that difficult. Modern Warfare 1 was the first, or was probably the last one that was just almost impossible to beat. I haven't played World at War. I think that came out after Modern Warfare. I've heard that one was also impossibly tough, but I've just never played that one, so I can't say for sure. But what you're going to do here is you're going to hop over this railing and talk to Cash to figure out where we're going to be headed. So I'll zone out so you can hear that dialogue, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Batman. I figured you'd be here about now. What's the deal with the plants?
It's complicated.
Let me guess. Poison Ivy. She teamed up with Joker.
All that matters is that I can stop the plants taking over the island, but...
There's always a but, isn't there?
Where do you keep Killer Croc? I found a door in the sewers, but it's sealed shut.
That monster's got his own special cell. It's right below the transfer room back in intensive treatment. Elevator goes right down to an old sewer. We just drop meat down there every day or so and try to forget about it. It's locked off. More security than the Joker. You won't get in without the warden's permission. He has the codes.
Thanks, Cash. Stay here and do not go near the plants. They'll kill you.
Alright, so now we know we have to leave the mansion, and we are going to be headed to intensive treatment, which is the building that we started the game in. And what's going to happen is we're going to get there, we're going to have to do some stealth takedowns, we're going to have to do some combat takedowns, but then before we're able to get to the Killer Croc boss fight, we're going to be interrupted by Scarecrow for another time. And I've said this a couple times, but one of the things that really helped this game was, well, not that the game even needed help, I shouldn't have said it like that, but one of the things that made this game so much better was the Scarecrow sequences. They're just like a fun little platforming section that Scarecrow is my favorite Batman villain, Dr. Jonathan Crane. He uses the fear toxin to bring out people's worst fears. He's featured as the main villain in Batman Begins, alongside Ra's al Ghul. He also makes brief appearances in The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. He can be found in a lot of different comic books. Most recently, no, maybe not most recently, but one of the recent story arcs in the comic books that he was in, I think maybe last year or 2 years ago, there was a story arc called Gothtopia, kind of like Gotham and then Utopia, so Gothtopia. And that was a crossover event in the New 52 comics. It was between Detective Comics and Catwoman and a few other titles. I actually own every part of the story arc, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. I think Batwing is in there. So yeah, it spans over a few different titles, and it was a really interesting story with Scarecrow at the lead. So yeah, just a bit of random facts for you. But so anyway, before we met up with Cash, I was talking about some of the hardest games that I've ever played, and so that kind of got me thinking. I don't know how many people are going to watch this video. My channel has grown a lot since my Gears of War 4 walkthrough, so in a matter of about 2.5, or actually, let's see, I officially started that walkthrough 3 weeks ago. So I'm recording this on the 28th of October, and 3 weeks ago was October 7th, which is the day that I got Gears of War 4. And in those 3 weeks, I've gone up almost 300 subscribers. It's been about 100 subscribers a week, and that's just insane because if you look at my channel's history, it took me like a year to get to 100 subscribers, and now I'm gaining like 100 subscribers a week. So that walkthrough was big for me. Not that big, obviously. I realized that, 300 subscribers, while I'm very proud of that, in the grand scope of things, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. And so, I can't say I can't say 100% honestly that if my YouTube channel were to take off, if I would use that as a career, because I am a college student and I'm studying physics, and I'm very passionate about physics, probably as passionate as I am about video games, and I do want to be a physicist. And so, if I woke up tomorrow and my channel had 1 million subscribers, I can't say that I would just give all my education up to pursue YouTube, because I really do care about physics, and I'd like to do the two equally. But just, having this small growth in subscribers over the past couple of weeks kind of got me thinking about if my channel were to ever get big, what direction would I want to take it in? Because I've had a pretty good opportunity to try a lot of different things. So I started my channel as an achievement guide channel. Then I started trying to make some Let's Plays. So I did some kind of traditional Let's Plays, and those were pretty fun. And now I'm doing hardest difficulty walkthroughs. And so I've tried a few different things. And honestly, if my channel were to get big, I think I would, how do I say this? If my channel were to all of a sudden get big, I would like to keep it as a hardest difficulty walkthrough channel, but then during the off times when not a lot of new games come out, I would like to do some Let's Plays for games that don't have various difficulties, namely like a lot of horror games. Like there's a lot of good PC horror games which I haven't played, like Amnesia and Layers of Fear, and there's just so many cool horror games that don't really, people wouldn't really need to watch a walkthrough for those type of games. Those are the types of games that people really like seeing Let's Plays for. And so if my channel were to get big, I'd like to focus on the hardest difficulty walkthroughs, but I'd also like to do you know, try out some horror Let's Plays and things like that. But back to what I was talking about. I was talking about the hardest games I've ever played, and I'd kind of like to do some videos like that. I always really like watching, kind of like Watch Mojo videos, like those top 10 videos, and I'd like to make some games like that because I'm always you know, I love sharing my opinions on games with other gamers, and I like hearing what other gamers think. So, you know, in the future, I'd like to maybe make some videos like top 5 hardest games I've ever beaten, top 5 favorite video games of all time, just different things like that. And I'd like to essentially have my channel be just a really big gaming community. Yeah, I don't know. Just some thoughts that have been popping into my head recently with this really cool growth in my channel. I really wasn't expecting it at all. Like, when I first got Gears of War 4, I didn't know how hard that game was going to be, so I kind of figured, you know, by the time I got my walkthrough up, it wouldn't be that big of a deal, and I'll get back to that in a second. What I want to say real quick is we're going to come to this room here. You should remember this room from the beginning of the game, and there's going to be some gunmen walking around, and you'll notice from that little brief cutscene that the gargoyles are now triggered to detonate if you use them, so that makes our life even harder. And so what you're going to want to do is kind of follow what I do here. As soon as this guy turns around, you can drop down from the vent and take him out, and then right away, don't waste any time doing this, you're going to hop over this railing here, and you're going to take out this guy. And that'll clear the room of 2 guys right away. And then you're just going to try to walk around, wait for somebody to isolate themselves, and take them out. So probably easier to just watch what I do. A hard part about these games is oftentimes the enemies are very inconsistent in what they do. So it's hard to make like a all-knowing walkthrough for. But you can usually get a general sense of what they're going to do by watching a walkthrough. So hopefully this video gives you some ideas on how to tackle this section. But anyway, so like I was saying, when I played Gears 4, I didn't know it was going to be so hard. And you know, my channel's not big enough to the point where I can get games early. So I was very fortunate in the fact that Gears of War 4 had an Ultimate Edition, which was like $20 more on Amazon. So the Ultimate Edition I think cost $20. Or sorry, it cost $100, but because I have Amazon Prime, I was able to save $20 on it, so I ended up getting it for $80. And the reason I got it, I didn't really care about the season pass. I didn't care about the steelbook casing. The reason I got it was because if you got the Ultimate Edition, you actually got the game on October 7th instead of October 11th, which was the main release date. And another benefit of that was I just coincidentally, my fall break started on October 7th, so I was able to get the game pretty much right at the start of my fall break, and that's why I was able to put up those videos so quickly, because I didn't have school to worry about. And so everything just kind of fell into place, and it ended up being an incredibly difficult game to beat, but somehow I got through it, and I was able to be, like, I think the first person on YouTube to put a walkthrough up. And it started off kind of slow, you know, I posted some videos, some achievement videos and stuff, and the next day I think I gained a couple subscribers, and then I started posting my insane walkthrough and I gained a few more subscribers. But then 2 days after the game came out, I played a certain section in the game that was probably one of the hardest sections in the game, and I found a really unique way to do it, and I filmed it, I posted it on YouTube as soon as I figured that out, and that was the game changer. Like, I started getting a bunch of comments, a bunch of thumbs up, a bunch of subscribers, and it just really hasn't stopped. It's been insane. Like, I've been getting probably like 10 subscribers a day and all sorts of comments thanking me, and it's just been really cool to talk to a bunch of gamers and hear how they approached different sections in the game and everything like that. And we've really been able to have some cool discussions in the comments section about different ways to beat the game, and that's exactly what I hoped for my channel when I started it, was just kind of branching out and talking to other gamers, because most of my friends, so Most of my friends don't play video games, so I usually don't have anyone to talk to about video games. So it was just really cool to see all these people commenting on my videos. And so, like I said, you know, if you have any opinions on games or just, you know, really anything, feel free to leave a comment below, and we can talk about it. That's, you know, a big part of what I want, what I'd hope for my channel to be. But anyway, so I got really close to being discovered there, and I kind of was stupid here, and I took cover in this corner even though I'm not even hidden. This guy ran in and freaked out when he saw me, and then I just took him down. So once you're able to clear this room, remember you can use that sonic batarang to lure out enemies. But once you clear this room, we're going to drop down. So what you got to do is you'll see this remote box right here. Pull out your cryptographic sequencer, and you have to go through 3 sets of decoding, I guess, disarming this thing, and you got to do it quickly because if you don't, it'll blow up and kill you. But once you get this thing unlocked, these doors down here will unlock. You go through them, and I'm actually gonna mute out for a bit because I want you to see what happens when you run into Scarecrow for the 3rd and final time. So go ahead and enjoy that. It's really cool, and I'll see you in a little bit.
Look so big and scary now, does he, Mr. J?
If you have any questions, please visit us at www.ithinkimgoing.
Keep moving. Please, you can let us go. We won't try to see.
Someone help me!
Keep those mouths shut.
Batman! Batman, can you hear me?
Can I
They're
keep
taking
him,
us outside.
sweetie,
They're gonna
please,
kill us
please,
all.
Please, I'll feed him and
You
dry
gotta
him,
help
I
us.
promise.
Help us, please.
Save us, please.
I'm not crazy! I shouldn't be here!
Hey, sweetums, you're gonna miss the party.
Just got to check your prisoner, dear.
Whatever. Just be quick. He's not looking too good.
No, he's not. We really should feel sorry for him. He never fully got over his parents' death. It left him quite insane. What is going on inside your head, Wayne? He's gone. Just a twisted shell of a man.
Cut me free!
He's all yours, Joker.
Oh, goody. Come on, Mr. J, we're ready.
I've waited a long time for this, Bats. Let's start the party with a bang.
Alright, so really cool intro to this final Scarecrow sequence. If you want to see something cool at the beginning, you can look through these barriers right there and see different versions of Batman looking like a patient in Arkham Asylum. because the whole point of this is, and this is really stretched upon in the comics a lot, not so much in the movies, I noticed, but a very common theme in the comics is the villains. They often criticize Batman, saying that they're no crazier than he is, you know, because if one really looks at it, they could see Batman as the hero vigilante that Gotham needs, but others could say, you know, this is just a rich kid that was so traumatized by his parents' murder that he never really got over it, and he just kind of became insane. And, you know, you have a grown man here who dresses up as a bat and runs around rooftops at night. And so it's a very interesting theme that is, like I said, often touched on in the comics, and that's what they're doing here with the Scarecrow. And that's just another thing that made this game so great, is these Scarecrow sequences. They weren't just fun to play, but they really kind of expanded Batman's mindset. And that also kind of brings me to why Scarecrow is one of my favorite villains, because he doesn't, you know, he's not like Bane. He doesn't have giant muscles or anything. He doesn't fight with his fists. He fights with his brain, with his education on, you know, chemicals and neurobiology and things like that. And I usually prefer those types of villains. But anyway, this is the third and final Scarecrow sequence. It's a little bit longer, and there is some combat that you have to worry about. In fact, there's going to be I think 2 Titans that you have to fight, but luckily the Titans are incredibly easy because all it takes is one charge for them to destroy themselves, and you'll see what I mean by that in a second. But yeah, just the Scarecrow sections were really great. One of the best parts of this game, and I remember one of my only disappointments with Arkham Knight was I thought that we were going to get these again, because I remember I was really disappointed when Scarecrow never showed up in Arkham City. There is a small little Easter egg that you can find. You can find a boat that Scarecrow must have been hiding out in Arkham City, but he never showed up in Arkham City. He never showed up in Arkham Origins, and that's why I was thrilled to see that he was going to be the main villain in Arkham Knight. But I was really disappointed because I thought in Arkham Knight we were going to get these cool, like, platforming sequences again, and we never did. And then what ended up happening was they released some DLC called, like, Scarecrow's Nightmares, and that really sounded like it was going to just give us some of these fun platforming sequences. And it ended up not being that. It ended up being just, like, Nightwing. It ended up being Batmobile chases that just included the Scarecrow in a very minor way. So it was a little disappointing, and I think my biggest regret, one of my biggest regrets in life, it's probably going to sound pretty stupid, but if you watched the first video in this series, before I played this game, I did not know anything about DC Comics. I didn't know anything about the expanded Batman universe. All I knew was, like, Batman is Bruce Wayne and he fights the Joker. This game really opened me up to comic books, and now I am an avid comic book collector. I know practically everything there is to know about the DC universe. But what sucks is I have a good amount of DC action figures in my room. But one of the action figures that I always wanted was the Scarecrow action figure from Arkham Asylum, because I think he just looks so cool. And the problem was, when I played this game for the first time, I didn't know I was going to become addicted to DC and to Batman and to Scarecrow, so I didn't buy the action figures. And then, you know, years later, when I became obsessed with this world, I went to buy the action figure, and it had long been, you know, out of production because the game was older. And so now about the only way you can get it is if you get it on eBay, and if you want to get it, you know, in the box and everything, it costs kind of a lot, since you can't find it anywhere else anymore. So that kind of sucks, but maybe one day I'll end up coming across it and making that purchase. But I definitely wish I would have bought it a long time ago, and I ended up not buying the Arkham Knight Scarecrow action figure because Scarecrow, he looks cooler in Arkham Knight, but I really like this design here because it looks more comic bookish to me. But anyway, So hopefully maybe one day I'll get a Scarecrow action figure in the future. But anyway, this part's really cool because I talked about this during the last Scarecrow encounter in the mansion, but it turns out when Batman is hallucinating on the fear toxin, he's actually still partially in the real world. So you see that there's actually a couple unconscious titans laying around me, and there's a few henchmen, and that was put there to show you that Batman was actually fighting. He was doing the things that we were doing, but he was just seeing it differently in his eyes because of the fear toxin. So I don't know. I just thought that was a cool little thing they threw in to show what it is the fear toxin actually does, to show that it's not just like, because I remember initially I thought Batman inhaled the fear toxin and then he just was like crouched in a corner seeing things, but it turns out that's not actually the case. And so we're nearing the very end of this video here. I'm gonna cut it off right as we go into Killer Croc's lair. That way the next video can specifically just focus on Killer Croc. And real quick, I want to show you kind of a cool little Easter egg, which actually is a riddle in the game. But if you hop into this vent here, if you go this way, you'll come into this little underground cave and you'll see all these photographs and plans hanging about. This is actually Scarecrow's little lair. So this is where Scarecrow has been hatching his plans and doing his work, constructing his toxins in Arkham Asylum in this secret little, in this secret little shaft underneath an elevator. So that's just kind of a cool little Scarecrow secret. But anyway, you're going to go into here and you're just going to take out these couple of guys. Be careful, one of them has a gun, so you're going to want to sneak up on him and do a takedown first. Finish off the rest of them, disarm that bomb on the wall, and you will unlock, or what'll happen is you'll move the elevator and then you'll be able to go down and access Killer Croc's lair, and that will be the next video in this playlist. So I'll just take this quick opportunity to say thank you for watching, everybody. Everybody, I can't. Sometimes when I do commentary for too long, I start really slurring my words. But thank you for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance. Again, leave a comment below if you want to talk about games or this game in particular or anything really. If you want to know more about me and what it is I study in school, feel free to leave a comment, whatever. But yeah, Batman Arkham Asylum Remastered on Insane. I'm thinking Gears of War. On hard difficulty. I'm probably going to take a break before I move on to Arkham City, and that's because there's a couple games coming out that I want to get my hands on and make walkthroughs for, namely Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Maybe I'll revisit Call of Duty 4 Remastered. Dishonored 2 looks like it could be interesting. I never actually played the first one, but I did play the game Thief, and I don't know, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks similar to Dishonored. I always love stealth games, so anytime I get a chance to like complete a game without ever taking down a single enemy, which I had to do in Thief, that looks kind of like the same type of game as Dishonored. So maybe I'm wrong, but let me know in the comments below if I am. Anyway, finish off this fist fight and get ready to head down into Killer Croc's lair. Once again, thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for sticking through this playlist, and yeah, I think that's about everything. I will see you in the next video.